I want to read out something to you, and
Yeah,
this
yeah,
goes
yeah,
back
sure,
to
sure,
your
sure.
DNA thing.
Yeah,
This is from the first charge sheet,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, yeah.
It says blood samples of Indrani Mukherjee and Mikhail Bora was sent to FSL Kalina, Mumbai for conducting the DNA test with the bones collected from the place where the body was exhumed. The FSL report number, whatever, dated, and report number, whatever, dated, disclosed that DNA matched to prove that Indrani Mukherjee is the biological mother of DNA of femur bone belonging to the skeleton, and she is also the mother of Mikhail Bora. Now, this seems to be pretty definitive in stating that your DNA matched those of those bones found in Raigad.
So, Chandni, since you're talking about this one sheet of report, Mikhail Bora obviously Mikhail is very much there, and his blood sample and my blood sample is definitely going to match. I would be very surprised if it didn't match. And but as far as this femur bone goes, now this femur bone is supposed to be my biological daughter. Yeah, so this is the report, which is it's a half-page sheet. Now, I know, for me, this is like the new normal now. I never knew what a DNA report looked like. So when my lawyer, that time it was Sudeep Pasbola, he saw this report in the charge sheet, which was a half-page report, he said, seriously, has the CBI filed this as the DNA report? I said, why? You know, obviously, I told you about this, that I cried and cried and cried my eyes out for the first 1.5 years because I believed that report was right. But that report doesn't obviously clearly prove, it doesn't prove anything. It proves that, at that point, it proved that my daughter was not alive. That was the proof. That doesn't prove that anybody has committed a murder, a DNA report. Okay, just for clarification, right? But no, hang on, let me finish on this.
No, but it did prove that she's dead.
No, that was the half-page report. So till then my lawyer asked me a very, very simple question, that Indrani, since you have hired me to defend you, I need you to tell me whether you have done it or not done it. The same question that people still ask me, and I reply now, it's a stupid question. I didn't say that to my lawyer. So he said that I have asked you this for a very simple thing, that I am going to defend you irrespective. But if you tell me that you have done it, then I will know what not to ask for. And if you tell me that you have not done it, I am going to ask for every single piece of paper and everything possible to ensure that you are not just acquitted, you are acquitted not because of lack of evidence, but you are acquitted because I need to prove that you have been framed and the evidence is fudged. So I told him, of course, that I have not done it. And that is when he filed for the raw data of the DNA report. So what is the raw data of the DNA report? Is, like everybody's aware of what a cardiogram looks like, right? So it is a graph where you have the coordinates of the x coordinates and the y coordinates. Similarly, when any biological exhibit is put into the machine, which actually determines the graph that gives you the allele numbers, which is the x coordinate, and it's the peaks of the x coordinate and the y coordinate. So the DNA, that's called the electropherogram, which can be only machine printed. So you can't decide, I'm going to make a drawing and that's going to be the DNA report, right? So, and it has to be all the 15 peaks, which are called the allele numbers, of exhibit A needs to match with exhibit B. So exhibit A, let's say, is my blood sample, and exhibit B is the femur bone of that alleged skeleton, and I think they had done another cervical vertebrae, some remains. So these are the two exhibits which they had put into the machine. So obviously, my DNA report is completely machine printed. So when we got the electropherograms, what we saw, this was very funny. So I will tell you about it just in a minute. So then Mr. Lade, who is supposed to be the DNA expert, came to depose. And my lawyer, Sudeep Pasbola, brought him to the stand and got him, and he obviously very pompously stood there, Mr. Lade, and explained how DNA report is prepared and how the exhibits go into the machine and how every single allele number, the peaks, are machine printed only. So that he continued to repeat, and he said 15 allele numbers have to match the other 15 allele numbers. And it was only after that that my lawyer pulled out the electropherogram and said that, Mr. Lade, is this the electropherogram of the femur bone, which is supposed to be my client's daughter? So he looked at it, he said yes, and then he said, but hang on, you said that it needs to be machine printed. So he said, yes, but he said, this is not machine printed. Because what had happened in that electropherogram is that out of the 15 allele numbers, 7 allele numbers, the peaks, were cut out like as of scratched out, and the coordinates were handwritten to match my blood sample. And then he was asked, he said, but these are handwritten. So he said, oh, the screen was not okay, and some nonsense he gave. And then he said, so Mr. Lade, who did this? So he said that I can get a handwriting expert. So he said, I cut out the allele numbers. So basically, the allele numbers were cut out on that electropherogram in his own handwriting, the expert, and he admitted that in court.
Yeah, we went back actually and asked this question to a lot of people, and they said simple bureaucratic problem. A certain type of printer was not available, another type was available, but that was just something someone said. And why don't you ask for another DNA report?
Well,
the bones are there, you're there, Mikhail's there. It's if it really does prove that those don't belong.
Well, it's already proved, Chandni. So I don't have to prove it all over again. Why am I going to try to prove it? First, they come with two bodies. The thing is also, again, the very fact, I don't know if you're aware of this again, because the post-mortem report says that allegedly they had found a skull, a skeleton in 2012, and a post-mortem report was done. And the doctor, his Dr. Thakur, had done a post-mortem where the skull was cut open with a saw. There was a circular cut made, and the skull cap was opened to check the brain matter. And then prosecution came and produced an intact skull in court. So either there are two skeletons. This is the first time. This is unheard of. I've heard of murder cases where, bodies have not been found. But this is the first time one has, found one murder and two skeletons, two bodies. It's almost like, inky, pinky, ponky, if this doesn't match, it's this. And sadly, the first skeleton of 2012, there is no DNA report. There is nothing to say that it is my daughter. Now, on the second DNA report, now this has happened. And they cannot kind of get away with something by saying, oh, printer kharab tha. We had somebody, one of the experts, who said, ये सब छोटे-छोटे गलतियां हो ही जाते हैं. And I remember the judge saying that, do you even know what you are saying? Are you seriously saying this? छोटे-छोटे गलतियां हो जाते. This is a question of our lives.